Hello everyone, my name is Heather and I'd love to take a moment and show you a really fun product today. I'm with a company called BurnStencil. We make stainless steel stencils that are intended for wood burning. However, you can also use them for painting or embossing, which has turned out to be the favorite thing for me to do with them. So let me show you some of our stencils. This one is our large text. You can see it comes with these bars on the side that's going to help you line up your text as you go along. So easy to use. It will also have a protective frame you'll see me using in this video in just a moment that keeps the flame or the heat from getting onto the other letters as you're going through and wood burning on your project. I've had so much fun with these, and I hope you guys are going to have fun too working through this project or whatever you're inspired to do. Behind me, you can see the heart. This is one of the smaller stencils, the 3-inch heart. And then I also used this wreath. And you can see that on the sides of the box there. The other stencil that I used are our extra large letters. Those turn out to be my favorite letters every time, and you can see that in the word love. And the heart is what I ended up using the embossing for with a very thin copper. I will have a supply list, either the things that you can purchase directly from us at BurnStencil.com. Some of the things I did just purchase either locally at stores or was able to find on Amazon. So you'll see that supply list as well. And with that being said, here's a video on how to create your own Plant Seeds of Love project.
The first thing we'll do is embossing. So I started with the mini heart stencil and a 36 gauge sheet of copper foil. Place the foil on top of the stencil, and then using a paper stump, you're going to smooth around the edges and really press it in. And once you have a good edge, you'll take that same paper stump and smooth out the center. You do want to make sure that there isn't any debris on the foam mat because it'll show through as you're pressing in the design. And then I'll start going back and forth between my hard surface and using the metal stylus and back to the foam mat. So when you use the hard surface and the metal stylus, you'll get those crisp lines. When you're using the foam mat, it'll add a little bit more texture to it and help achieve those raised portions a little bit better. It took me about 20 minutes to do this entire process. Again, just working back and forth between the two different surfaces, back and forth between the stylus and the paper stump, until I got the desired effect I was going for. Once you've finished embossing, you're going to trim that piece out and you're going to leave a lip on one of the edges. I'll show you how we'll use that in just a moment. You want to try to get all the little snags off around the edge. They can be sharp and they're hard to work with. And then I'll take my stylus again and smooth around the edges. Again, just trying to take some of the sharpness out of it, and also helps achieve a very finished look on that edge. All right, here's where that extra little piece on the edge comes from. I'm going to hold that with my needle nose pliers and then heat the copper with the micro torch. You'll start to see the colors changing in the copper. This is my favorite part, working with metals, is seeing this color change. The more you heat it, the more it changes. And I will also use a dish of cool water to dip in and then go back in with the micro torch. It just seems to bring out more of the colors. And sometimes if you hold it against the wood, it gets a little bit hotter and you can see the colors come out again even more. When you're happy with the look of your heart, you're going to cut that extra lip off. And then using the stylus, press under those edges. It's going to help get those little sharp snags off of there and gives it a very finished look. Using that paper stump, you can press into the foam board again to help raise up that center. Sometimes it flattens out when you're working with it a little bit, or using the stylus on the hard board to help get those lines a little more distinct. Well, it's time to start doing our wood burning design. The first thing I do is a few measurements. This helps in placement of your letters. I like to find the center of my pieces with chalk. It shows up a little bit better and it's much easier to remove than pencil marks, although they both remove pretty easy. And these measurements will really be dependent on what surface you're using. If you're using a planter box, if you're using just a wooden signboard. Just very basic marks to help me start in the right spot and keep things as centered and balanced as possible. So I'll line up my first letter. I take that shield and place it over. So that shield keeps the heat from transferring to the other letters. Then with my micro torch set to the fine tip, I start burning, and it's as easy as that. Make sure that you're holding and pressing it down with the needle nose pliers. That helps get a crisp line on those letters. When you're removing it, use those pliers as well to remove, because these pieces will be hot to touch. For the next letter, take the bar that's sitting directly in front and you're going to line it up with the letter you just did. So you line up the bottom and the top, and then you want to fill that space with the edge of the letter. And again, you'll place that frame around to block the heat from getting on the other pieces. Using your needle nose pliers, press down firmly, and then using that fine tip with the micro torch. I like to lift every couple of seconds, trying not to transfer the heat too much. Now when I lift this, you'll see that there is a little overburn on the side there. I'm not really worried about it at this point. It usually wipes away when we're all done. So you'll see how that finishes at the end. And then I continue this with the rest of the letters. Again, it is so easy. The slots in front of the letters help line everything up so perfectly. It's easy to see, easy to work with. But again, make sure you're touching only with those needle nose pliers, because these pieces of metal do get quite hot as you're using them. When using the extra large text, you won't need to use the frame. They're large enough and far enough apart that you don't have to worry about overburn. Lining them up though works just the same with that sidebar. Then I attach the heart with Gorilla Glue double-sided mounting tape. And I've used this for a couple different projects and I've been really pleased with the results every time, so I highly recommend it. Take a damp cloth and wipe your project down. You're going to remove the carbon, the chalk marks, and any of the pencil marks left behind. You can see that little spot on the L from earlier that looked like overburn was actually just carbon. It cleaned right away. I was really pleased with how this turned out. And then be sure to seal your project. I recommend beeswax, but any type of wood sealer will work. I hope you've enjoyed today's video, and I would love to see what you guys are up to with BurnStencils. Please stop by our Facebook page and drop some pictures of what you've been creating, and visit us at BurnStencil.com to see our amazing collection of stainless steel stencils and get inspired to create something wonderful.